We've had a busy time in April. It's been my birthday month and we've had a lot of time at the table. But what board games have we played on that table in April?
So I'll get my BG stats up again and let's see.
So these are the games we played together?
Yes, yeah, I mean there's a few on here that I've played that you haven't, but we'll get to that in a bit. We have played...
Now let me guess, how many games? We've played, I think, less than last month. I think we've probably played 12 new games this month.
Oh, new games? 13.
Oh, that's close. Okay.
Yeah. We've played 30 different games and 13 of them were new to me. So
probably new to me. Maybe not.
Who
knows? Okay,
Who knows?
So what have we played this month?
Well, we've started a new campaign of Jaws of the Lion.
We did.
Gloomhaven. So we've got 4 games of that in.
Yes.
So that's that's pretty good.
We've played it before. I think we got 9 missions in, and then various things happened, and it's difficult because I like to play campaign games close together.
Yeah.
Like how we played Sleeping Gods. Whereas you quite like to vary what we play and.
Yeah, well, I was just getting to the point where we played that and that and that, and there was other games sort of on the shelves screaming to play me, and then you get a bit distracted and off track, don't you? And then we started Sleeping Gods, and then that obviously takes a long time. So then we struggled to get it back out, and we kept saying, "Oh, we must continue. We must get it back to the table," but. And then some friends of ours said, "Oh, do you want to do a campaign of that?" So we've started again. Somehow you've kept Hatchet.
I wouldn't relinquish Hatchet. I'm too attached to that fine fellow and his glorious axe.
Yeah, so now I've gone from being a red guard to someone with explosives.
I think you're enjoying that character more.
Yeah, I mean the chances of my little demolitionist dying seemed to be higher than it was in our campaign with the Red Guard.
I think that's more from your play style than...
I mean, if I can go in there and just blow up a bomb and kill everyone, why wouldn't I?
Yeah,
why wouldn't I?
I'm really pleased to play it again because I want to get through Jaws of the Lion before Frosthaven comes. So I think time
we've got time.
This time it's going to be
honest.
good. So we played Gloomhaven.
Yeah, so we played that quite a few times. We've got 4 in now. So
Yep.
in only 2 weeks. So I think that's quite good progress.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have a couple of weeks gap because I'm away, but then we'll get back to it. Hopefully towards the end of the month we'll get a few more in. So hopefully it won't take as long to get through that campaign. We've played a few games of Rustling Leaves. So that was
that's a roll and write.
That's quite nice. Yeah,
it's a new one.
Yeah.
I quite like it. Roll and writes are growing on me.
Yeah, they're not my go-to game. I wouldn't be sort of chomping at the bit to get any roll and writes, but they have their place of when you want something easy and light, a sofa play, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I prefer Rolling Realms to Rustling Leaves, but I think Rustling Leaves is fun.
Yeah, I mean, my favourite is the winter one because those Arctic foxes are just adorable. And they're having a little lay down in a little circle. They look so cute and cuddly.
It's kind of like 4 roll and writes in one box, which is nice.
Yes, so you have got the variety of which ones you do. And there is also, quite a variety in how you choose to play. So if you choose to focus on one area to another, then that does affect your score, affect what you're aiming to do, or if you're boards that are affected by the clouds more, if you want to go for that, then it can be a bit more risky than some of the other ones. So it was quite fun. We played Rainbow Rummy with your girls.
Yeah, we got a Lion King. It's a kind of simplified, child-friendly version of Rummy. And it's got Lion King on it, and they really enjoy it.
Well, it's not even Rummy though, is it? It's higher or lower.
It's higher or lower. But it's
like
it's
the
fine.
Price is Right.
It's fine for for little girls, and we take it with us when we go and visit people, and we can quickly play something.
But the other thing that was new to us that they did really enjoy was Hey, That's My Fish.
Yep.
And it really helped that they'd recently been given 2 little seal toys. So we spent half the time wondering whether the seal was going to eat the fish or whether they were going to keep the fish for their hoard. So
someone recommended it to us and lent it to us and said, "Oh, your children would enjoy this," and they did. They did really enjoy it. I think for more grown-ups, a game like Battle Sheep is probably better.
Yeah.
But it's very similar. I like the very board in Battleship compared to this, but
but the penguins are cuter.
The penguins are cute, and who doesn't munch on fish?
Can you get more penguins and play Battleship with penguins?
Yeah.
Or you take the dinosaurs out of Draftosaurus
and
you play Battleship with them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something cute.
Something that makes dinosaurs in a game just makes it better.
Right, so another new one. I played Lucky Numbers for the first time, but you've played it before, at Board Game Group, which again is a nice sort of quick, easy, sort of a time filler kind of one. You're trying to put the clovers down in number order from different rows and columns. So nice, relaxing one.
Yeah, it's you're not going to have an evening where you just play it, but we often play at Board Game Club at the end of the night when we've got sort of 10 minutes before we're kicked out.
So you have done some print and playing this month.
I've done another batch, yeah.
You have done another batch. So we had one, which again we played with your girls, Overstocked.
Yes.
That was quite fun.
Overstocked was a Kickstarter, and I picked up the print and play version. It's fun because it's 90s toys. So I spent as long explaining to them what a Tamagotchi was and what a Furby was.
They did like the idea of a Tamagotchi.
Yes, they can still get these. We're not having that. But yeah, so you're basically manipulating popularity of 90s toys while also trying to stock up on what you predict is going to be the second most popular, and that's the kind of crucial part of it. If something's the most popular, it scores minus. So you can completely stock up on Furbies, and then the craze ends, and you're like, oh no, I've got loads of Furbies in my factory. It's a simple card game, but it's really fun. I quite liked it.
It was cute. I like the art on it.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute and quite engaging for younger ones, and good for them to like do a bit of maths at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's advantages.
Times tables.
Yeah, you're doing super maths at the end, where you're dividing stuff, but for the base game, it works really well.
You also printed Tides.
I did.
And that was quite nice. I quite enjoyed that. Yeah.
So Tides is a button shy game where you are trying to collect low things on the low tide to then sell on the high tide. You can sell on the low tide and get as much money, and it's predicting what your opponent's going to pick up. What's going to flip over. It's quite a simple game, like a lot of the button shy games are. They're all simple but with surprising depth. Yeah, I quite liked it. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And the thing with that one is it's kind of you're sort of thinking, right, okay, so I can achieve this. So do I want to do that now? But it's going to use like several cards, and then I'm going to be left with not a lot of cards in hand. Or do I want to sort of hold on to these cards in a bit to then not be left empty-handed? Hopefully I can use a better card that will come up, so then I can use this other card for something else later. Yeah, there's quite the sort of decisions in terms of whether you're going to complete something on high tide or whether you need to pick up a new one.
Yeah, it's not my favourite button shy game, but yeah, it's a fun one.
I quite like it. If you're doing like a beachy holiday thematic to that,
playing on the
it's
beach would be
easy.
great.
Yeah, and you're sort of like, oh, is that a bit of sea glass over there? How appropriate.
I liked it. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fine. We played Albion on a board game day with our friends, which is not a game that sort of was on my radar at all, but it's one that our friends had on his shelves for a long time and not played very much, so that was the sort of point of the day to try and get some games played that sit there gathering dust for
he has the
too
worst shelf of shame. A bookcase of shame.
Opportunity, Julian, opportunity.
Where he gets a lot of Kickstarters and doesn't get a chance, and it's been complicated obviously by the last 2 years. We've not been able to gather around in the same way, but he'd had this one since it must be 20 years old.
He said, oh, was this no, that was the other game. There was a game that he brought the first time he went to Essen, which was about 7 years ago, and he had undone the packaging, and that was about as far as it had got. So
I like So Albion's okay. I wouldn't rush to play it again, but for what it was. Oh,
I quite enjoyed it. It was quite strategic. So you were sort of Roman sort of troops, like different troops, and you're trying to gather resources, kind of invade different parts of the country, and you've got to put in your sort of settlements and different buildings, and you can put sections in where you can then start your troops from a new place, so then you can explore further and things. So I quite enjoyed it, yeah. We also played Bitoku, which I love.
Bitoku's great. We've got a video discussing it in length on here.
Yeah, so that we'll put a link to that in case you've missed that one.
It's hard to get hold of at the moment. Obviously, it helps.
It
that
is
obviously
coming to stock in the UK.
You work for Cosmos,
imminently.
who distribute video games, so we got a lot of it that way. But it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I've borrowed the office copy, and then I'm taking it back, and as soon as they come into the warehouse, getting my own copy.
Yeah, I think without labouring a point, we've discussed quite a lot. People think it's excessively complicated. It's not immediately accessible, but it's not that hard to learn, and once you do, real fun. Loved it.
Yeah, absolutely adored it. The artwork's gorgeous. I like the sort of the options that you have in the gameplay.
Looks amazing.
Just loved it.
Looks so nice.
Loved it. Yeah.
Want to play it again. And every time we talk about Bitoku, mention it on social media, it's sort of like, we need to play that again. We've got a lot of games still to play, so it's hard to find the time for it.
Whilst we're on new games that I managed to pick up from work, we played Exit, the Lord of the Rings
Yes,
themed
Lord of the Rings Exit.
Shadows over Middle-earth.
See it in a shop and you like Exit games, grab it.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, really liked it. We loved how the theme was integrated into the sort of Exit world. We liked the sort of what characters that you come across, and each of us are different at different ones of the riddles, and some of them we sort of combine our skills together, and it worked really well.
Yeah, it's a slightly easier one, but I didn't think it was excessively easy. Family friendly weight, lots of fun.
Yeah, if you love Lord of the Rings, then it's a must-have.
It's a great one. It's going to be super popular, so if you see it, grab it, because this is going to sell out. It's a great Exit game, and it's a great Lord of the Rings game, even if you never played an Exit game.
And what else new?
You played Monster Slaughter.
I did play Monster Slaughter, and that was fun. That was like some sort of teenage horror film in reverse, because I had my little clan of monsters and everyone else had their little clan of monsters. So one might be a little bit more sort of Frankenstein-y, one might be more sort of trolls or Dracula-esque or werewolf-esque, or pick a classic monster, and then you've got sort of a mama bear, a papa bear, baby bear version of them. And between all of you, you are then trying to kill the random teenagers that have turned up in the woodland cabin. So it's literally like the reverse of a horror film. And we had just such a laugh with it. Obviously, your clan of monsters is trying to do the best against the others, but you can move into different rooms and you can activate different powers and things. Each clan has separate sort of special abilities and things. At one point, all of us were in the bathroom trying to kill the cheerleader, and none of the figures would actually fit into the room.
Such a massacre going on.
Yeah, so you could imagine the jokes that were happening about that, with the cheerleader being the one that was in there. So it's just all, you've got the classic like school jock and the cheerleader.
was it a Kickstarter? Is that how you got it?
I believe so, yeah.
Because I was on another table playing different games, but it looked fun. I was kind of envious I wasn't joining in.
No, it was a laugh. It was funny. There was some good jokes going around the table and stuff, so it was a really fun one. So I played that. We also played Rove for the first time, which interestingly we said, wouldn't this be good if they sort of did a bit of a reprint and sort of modernised the look of it a bit. And then 2 days ago I saw on Instagram, we're bringing a new version out. Yeah. So that was quite funny.
Yeah, it's kind of a social, bluffy kind of game.
It's a push your luck,
yes,
for sure.
Definitely a push your luck. How far do you go before you have something it automatically calls RAR? And it's quite, how you score points depends on which particular tiles you're going to go for.
Yeah, is a tide going to come out or not?
I won, but I'm not completely sure how I won.
Oh, did you?
I think it's more accident than design.
I think so too.
But it's fun.
And it's interesting, if you end up with the higher tiles versus if you end up with lower numbers at some point, then your tactics change completely as to what you want to do and how you're going to run the table. If you've got lower numbers, you're literally raring every second.
Sometimes it's worth getting a not as good selection of tiles to get that 15, knowing you can then use that in the next round. So there's lots of biding your time, working out when to when to go for things and when
Yeah.
not to.
I mean, if you've got the lower numbers, you're forcing people to have to do the auctions early. You know that you're going to lose them because you've got the lowest card in the table, and so you're forcing someone to throw away that high number super early, and they're not getting any benefit from it. So it's really.
Or worse still, they're getting cards they don't even want.
Yes. Yeah.
And play cards and things like that.
Yeah, so and then that leaves you then at the end, once all those high numbers are out, then you can just sort of try and push your luck and see how much you can gather and scoop up the remainder. So it's quite an interesting sort of mind game. I enjoyed it. What else was new to us? I mean, another one with your girls. We played the Snow game.
Yeah, we were visiting my dad, and he had it on his shelf, and then one of them trotted through saying, "Can we play this?" I think they just wanted to play the bell. It's one of those kind of. There's lots of games like this, which are kind of popular parlour games that someone's board gamified and made it more complicated because you had to follow through the cards, and then you had certain things certain lines you had to say, which then completely remove the fun of it.
Yeah, I mean, they enjoyed it and they thought it was funny, but yeah, it's
just take the cards out and use the bell, and then you got a normal game where you're just playing it anyway. So it was fun. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and the other one that's new to both of us is Steel Colosseum.
Yeah.
We are learning that one to do a video, which will be coming up shortly.
Yeah, so spoiler warning. I really like this game. I think it's going to do really, really well on Kickstarter when it launches. Yeah, it's kind of...
It's literally like battle bots, robot wars, depending on where you're from, in a board game.
Yeah, and the more we're playing it, the more I realise there's a lot of tactics that go on in this game, and it's I'm not going to say too much because there's going to be a video coming up, but I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, we're going to do one more playthrough, and then we'll sort of
commit to
consolidate
film
our ideas. Yeah.
Our opinion, but
it's fun.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and lastly, that was new to us was Red's Publica 2030 AD, which was the one that
he picked up at Essen at some point, and yeah. There's other games I enjoy more than that.
Oh really? Because I quite like that for like. I suppose maybe it's longer than you would think, but we were learning it, so it would be. But yeah, as a sort of a simple-ish around a small table card game.
It's a trading game where you're trying to offload what you don't need to someone who does need it while maintaining an upper hand. It's a little bit fussy for my liking. There's other games that I think are better for that sort of situation. It was okay. The artwork's great on it.
My trading seemed to be more successful than yours.
Yes.
You know, so maybe that's why I was sort of a bit more positive about it.
I think it's a little bit too luck based on which cards your objectives are, because they could just come out straight away and then you've got a bit of a leg up. It's okay.
I don't know the player count for it, but we played with 4, and I can imagine if you play with fewer people, that the chances of them having what you need and being able to successfully trade will be so much lower that it would be maybe frustrating.
Yeah, well, in terms of card games, we've been playing quite a lot of Tussie Mussie because we've got the expansions, and that makes the game much better because it's harder to then predict what the cards are when there's more players in it. But in that, you're doing a similar, trying to get what you want and misleading your opponent, but just works much better. I'd much rather play Tussie Mussie with a group of 4 than
yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like they're different styles, because I think this is more in depth, more like you've got the trading stage and then the next stage of getting different things and pulling things into your sort of space area. But yeah, I enjoy them both. Yeah, and we have played quite a bit of Tussie Mussie.
Yeah.
All right, so you've played a few games that I haven't played. You played Maquis.
Yeah, so I because Libby had been away, I wanted to play some kind of single player game. I like Maquis. It's I originally got it as a print and play, and it's a really good one. You're basically it's in French resistance, and you've got to complete objectives while still always being able to get back to your home base. And I find it quite tricky. It depends on the missions the combination of missions you got, and I played it probably 4 or 5 times in a day when I first got it, and then sat you down and said, "Do play this game. This is really fun," because you don't tend to ever play solo games.
No, and you were like, "Oh, it's super tricky. You're never going to do it."
You're not going to do it, but yeah, maybe. And you nailed it the first time.
And then I was like, "Yeah, I've won." What?
I played a few games of that. And
Yeah.
It's a fun solo game. I enjoyed that.
You played Rove?
Another solo game. I got that as a print and play because the expansions were on the Kickstarter, and I wanted to see really what the game was. Yeah, tricky game. It's another button shy game. I had to check with the designer that I was doing the rules right, because this is astonishingly hard. I
haven't played it, so it might not be.
It was he said I was playing it right, and yes, it's hard. And, it's cute, it's fun. There's other button shy games I do prefer, but for a solo game, it's good. I also played some Food Chain Island.
You did
as well while you've been away, and I much prefer that. That's a Scott Helms game where you just have animals eat other things.
That was quite fun. We played that on the train on the way up to London, sort of switch turns and stuff, and be like, oh, I wouldn't have done it that way.
I'd rather sit down and play Food Chain Island than Rove, but yeah, Rove's fine. It's good.
Yeah.
Most of the button shy games are good. I've yet to come across one where I thought, no, I don't want to play that again. There's some obviously that are more appealing to me, but generally I find them cheap, and because they're printed them ourselves, they're very hard to get in the UK because postage from America is very, very expensive for them. So we buy them as print and play files and then get them printed. But every one I've got has been a new idea, a new variety of different ways of manipulating cards, and I think they're all good.
Well, and it's surprising how different they are when they all have this 18 card limit when you take out expansions and things. What you can do with cards is incredible sometimes. Yeah, and you've also played a lot more Root than I have. I have played Root this month, but you have been... some might call it an obsession.
Yeah, I tend to play a game of Root a day on the app. And now I'm trying to get good by practicing, because at a board game club people play this for years, and I feel like I need to hold my own against them.
Yeah.
So at the moment I've been playing a lot of Woodland Alliance. I've got them now so I can defeat the computer on the AI on hardest mode. So I think, okay, got them now. I'm going to move on to Lizard Cult next.
Yeah.
So when we meet in person, I can bring the lizards out.
You can. Oh, yeah, and you've now got all the.
We've got every expansion,
ones, and we're waiting on the Marauders to arrive. So yeah.
Looking forward to that. The Hirelings for our 2-player games will be good.
They will indeed. Right, so that's all the new games that we've played. Any ones that I've mentioned? We played 5 Minute Marvel for the first time in ages.
Yep.
And that's so fun. It's just panic inducing. Craziness, throwing cards around the table, grabbing stuff as quick as you can.
We played because there was a favourite game Friday. We were talking about real time, and we saw the shelf and that's great. And it's one of those, we haven't played it for a while. We're like, well, we played this for ages. It's fun. That's a test of your relationship though. It gets tense. And I traditionally play games much more impulsively than you do. You tend to think more about turns, whereas I'm like, no, do, which lends itself to that game. But it's a case of why we throw down 3 cards when I could have done it in 2.
It tends to be like whoever's quickest, but if someone's got a great card but they just happen to be like naturally that little bit slower, then the other person just assumes that you don't have anything good, and it's like, hold on a minute, I'm just trying to survey my stuff.
I think it's made more tense by the app and the music, which just builds and builds and builds into the point where you want to just fling the cards across the room and get out of there. But it's fun.
Funny. We played Dodos riding Dinos. Yes, whichever way round. Either way is cute, but one would be slightly heavier. We mentioned it last time because we played it for the first time then, and this time we played a different board, and you have to sort of flick this egg thing across to be able to leap across, I'm assuming, the galaxy.
It's Dodos riding dinos in space, and other players really struggled with getting across this bridge, so we were kind of romping ahead.
You can sort of manipulate and use your cards to have another go to be able to get the egg, and then all of a sudden you've got no cards left, so you have to exchange your hand and move back 3 spaces, which then takes you back.
Well, there was one player was literally spent 20 minutes trying to get across the gap just by flicking the egg. As soon as he did, someone played a card that meant you had to go back across the gap again.
So that made it funny, but then potentially for some could be frustrating.
I think it's a differentiation between funny and fun. it was, we giggled a lot, we enjoyed it, but we ended up playing it for like an hour.
Yeah, it did. It was probably an extra sort of 10-15 minutes longer than it needed to be. But the previous game that we played, a different board, people didn't have that kind of jump in to struggle
that board with a certain group of people again. But yeah.
And it was still funny when people got to sort of chuck their bananas or throw logs and stuff like that to try and hit the dinosaurs. I mean, just silly fun. So yeah. We also played Nemesis Lockdown for your birthday.
We did. So Lockdown was new to us, but Nemesis we played before.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm pleased. Not pleased is the wrong word, but we don't own it because lots of other people do. But I'm pleased they have it so we can play it because it gets great with expansions.
No, it's the kind of game that you want a higher player count for, really. Unfortunately, I didn't choose the mission for player 3 to die.
Yeah, you should probably just choose it every time because I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah,
trying to do heroic things.
You get slapped in the face by an alien and die. I'm locked in a room with 5 of them. Still live.
Yeah. I wasn't really prepared for it. I was just trying to get on with them, have a nice chat, talk it out. It didn't work.
Another way to infect you.
But it's brilliant. Nemesis is a great game that gets the balance right of, I think, of theme and gameplay. It's neither heavy on either one. You don't get bogged down with story, but you do feel very immersed in the situation in the game, and playing with people who know the game is always great.
Yeah, we played Overboss again, which we hadn't played for a while, but one that you really love.
Yeah, similar to
theme that you love as well.
5 Minute Marvel. We're playing, going, why don't we play this more? It's great, and quick. So yeah.
Yeah, we got Scythe to the table again, taught someone new, so...
Yeah, we had quite an epic game of Scythe. It was a 5-player game. We play it a lot 2-player. So playing at bigger player counts always feels like a different game.
Oh yeah, no, it does feel different, because you have to combat a lot more than you necessarily need to in a 2-player game, because you've got space to move around, whereas, the more on the board, the more likely you're going to have to bump into each other.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And we played against, I'm not going to say a professional Scythe player because he isn't, but he's played a lot of times to the point where they were in their group. So so many people meet regularly on a Friday, where it's always a case of who comes second against him.
Yeah.
Because he's going to win it.
Yeah.
I know it's just a case of how can I hold my own against him. I predicted it was going to end a turn too early, because I thought the player before was going to end the game, get the 6 stars in the game. So I diversified across the board to try and get, obviously, the points for the spread. But it didn't end then, and then people just mopped up my mechs, and that was my undoing.
Yeah.
Because then suddenly I had no presence on the board whatsoever.
I had the faction that sort of benefits from going out there and fighting, which isn't always my gameplay style. And I felt like, I couldn't get... because of my sort of river crossing abilities, I couldn't get over to you to sort of jostle it out with you, which I would have been perfectly happy doing. And then I felt like, wouldn't it be a bit mean to just beat up on the newbie who managed to sort of run to the factory? And obviously, eventually, I turfed her out of there. But I felt like I was holding back because I didn't want to be too mean to someone who's on their first game, sort of trying to get it all together in their head and things.
Yeah.
So maybe that was to my detriment. I should have just gone out guns blazing because that's what my faction does.
Yeah.
But,
I love Scythe.
Yeah.
Every time
great.
we play that, it's a good game. And again, it's always good to play with people you haven't played against and see how your normal default tactics get trounced upon then by people who played it a lot more than you.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they, a couple of them play together quite often, and it's obvious that they expect what each other is going to do.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of one of them saying, well, I won't do this because you will then just do this. And he was then assuming sort of someone else's tactics on you. And I don't know that you would necessarily have thought to think like that. So it was interesting to see.
We see
different
elements of that when we play games. We play a lot together. So Arnak, you know what my opening turns are going to be.
Always.
And I think similarly in Root, I've seen another player who always does a certain thing when he's playing with the Eerie.
Yeah.
So I think, you get used to how other people play and then work out mechanisms against them. But
So that was interesting. But yeah, no, a lot of fun. So that's mainly, I mean, we've played some other games, but that's probably enough, to tell you about for now.
The big hitters in April.
Yeah.
It's been a cross-section, a diverse selection this month.
I feel like we've had less time to play because we've been away for Easter and I've had work on and all sorts of other things. But when you sort of look back on it, you know, 30 different games is actually pretty good going.
A different game each day between us. So yeah.
Yeah.
But hopefully you've enjoyed this. Comment below if we played anything that you particularly want to play, or if you think we're going to like a game based on what we played this month.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And what's your favourite game that you've played this month?
If you're discovering us for the first time, please do subscribe if you're enjoying our content, and likes actually do a great deal of benefit to us. So please do like this video if you've enjoyed what we're talking about. And we'll see you next month for all the games we've played
in May. Gosh.